Well, good morning.
What's up, dude?
Not much, I'm trying to stay cool here in Southern California. We had 90 degrees 2 days ago.
Yeah, wow. Well, we were down Sunday. We were down to the beach. It was 90 degrees in Laguna.
Nice.
So, hey, welcome to Renny Doyle podcast, and I am obviously in Boise, Idaho. I got Levi with me, so we're gonna jump in. And this guy, we have a history going back. It's kind of weird. We're talking about this. It's weird for me to come back.
Yeah,
because Idaho, back when we had our shop here, we are kind of the first big thing to happen, like in detailing in Idaho.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I would say yes.
Yeah. And we never really figured that there'd be anything like big happening detailing wise.
I didn't think it either.
And then it kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
And
say that.
Yeah, it went off the rails a little bit, but it's cool to come back to Idaho because we always believed in Idaho, and Idaho's such a car-centric community.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that there's
a
lot of car people here and cool things. But so obviously, Chris, I'm back in Idaho, but Laguna Beach, Sunday, 90 degrees.
I'm trying to get more cars and car people in Idaho, but it hasn't worked out yet.
Yeah, exactly. And so yesterday, 2 hours of sleep. Got up at 2:30 in the morning to get here. Awesome trip. So obviously, I've got Levi Gates with us, or I guess I'm with you.
You're with me.
I'm with you.
You're in my space.
Yeah, I am. And we wanted to bring him on. And do you remember where we first ever saw each other? Do you remember glancing in my eyes at Porta Subs?
I do. I remember that. So I remember I worked at a shop. I managed a shop just down from your shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going by and you would drive your Hummer.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your H1 cruising around. And I remember reading the back of the window and stuff and the side of it. And you had your Detailing Success logos on it. And I was like, I wonder what that's all about. And I did a little web search on you and was like, that's interesting. And then one day, literally walking in, it was you. And you had probably 4 or 5 guys with you, and you were all at Porta Subs over on Overland, and you were eating lunch. And I was like, I saw the truck, and then I saw you, and I had put 2 and 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's Renny. And I just said, hey, Renny, because you looked right at me. I looked right at you, and you just said, hey, man, what's up? And then I got my sandwich, and
that was it.
You got your guys, and you guys.
Is that a trip or what?
And that was almost 16, 17 years ago.
Can you believe that?
That was a long time ago.
And it just proved that you don't know when your paths are going to cross.
No.
You really don't. And look at what's happened in the industry. I mean, since then. I mean, look where we're at.
Yeah.
And again.
I still pinch myself.
Yeah, it's like, and coming back, I got to tell you, because I've got such a tie to Idaho. And it's a proud moment to see what you guys have done. Because it's brought it to a state that a lot of people don't know much about.
Yeah.
And it's home. And I think it's just such for those that don't know, Idaho is like one of the coolest it's the Garden of Eden.
It's why I never left.
Yeah.
Like I probably had a lot of chances I could have.
Yeah.
And gone and done something and done something different. But I jokingly refer to, there's a curse on this place. If you see the river, you can't leave, and if you do leave, you find yourself coming back.
Yeah, no,
and that's just how it is.
Look at I'm back, and I told Jeff this a couple years ago. We got Double Black, and we got you guys engaged. Mm-hmm. You got engaged with us. We've been friends. There's a lot of I love what you've done.
Thank you.
There's a big brand. There's a lot of people that make this move. But the Levi story, I think where I've got a connection with you is the fact that it's just we both come from, and we're going to get into that. Is we both come from humble beginnings of just being detailers.
Yeah.
Before detailing was when we're still like janitors.
Yeah, exactly. When I used to feel bad because I'd run into friends from high school and they'd be working on their master's degree or they'd be working for this company doing this and
you were
they'd
just
be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm still detailing cars, cleaning cars,
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that criticize. You and I have talked about this, is that people, oh man, I've never been ashamed of that. And I said, you know what? It's because you're standing on shoulders of people that came before you. And we stood on shoulders of people that came before us.
Yeah.
but to see it propped up like it's been propped up in the last, 10, 15 years, especially in the last 10 years is unreal.
Yeah.
So let's get in for those that, I'm going to take and introduce this guy. He's my friend. I think the Rag Company is one of the pillars within the detailing industry that has taken, and I think there's companies like Rupes that has gone out and really changed the game.
Yeah.
And I think because not that you guys are a detailing company, you're actually a marketing company. You've done a great job of putting your guys out there.
As much as we didn't plan on that.
Right.
Right. That wasn't a thing. There are companies that come into a business as a marketing company and then sell a product.
Yeah.
We came in just trying to sell a product
and became a marketing company.
4 or 5 people going, how do we sell this? I don't know. Let's try some things, and not being confined or, kind of confined by the man. We were able to just kind of run with what we brung and try our hardest, and
pretty cool.
Paid off.
Yeah.
So
when you look at the same thing as, you look at what Rupes has done, and one of the most brilliantly marketed companies in the world, in our industry at least, is that they make you guys awesome towels, awesome supplies, but it's the information that you put out and the way in which you do it. And I just think it's, hats off to you guys. So Levi's a good friend. He's a fellow detailer, and you're actually brand development management for here.
Yeah.
But and for yourself.
Yeah.
And for the whole day and Anthony, all of it.
That is my biggest thing is that, and then the detailing education is teaching and training and helping others. Brand development is mostly trying to figure out how we can help best not only push our brand, but the brands that we carry.
Absolutely.
And how to push them. But then on top of that, continuously looking for the next best product that we can bring on, or next best company that we can have join us in this pirate ship.
Yeah. It's really, and it's cool to see how, and this is probably a main point I want to make. And Chris and I, we agree heavily on this, is that in the past, a lot of companies didn't, in our industry, didn't blend too well. They didn't play well together on the playground.
Yes.
And I think that companies like this, and we definitely, here we've got Double Black, but you come into our training center, and Double Black's only about, what would you say percentage wise, Chris, of what we use in the training center? 20-25% maybe?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, you look around and you think it was 100% sometimes, but when it comes to actual use, it's like 25%.
Yeah. And because there's so many great brands out there, and we want you to choose our brand because you like it and because it does a good job for you. And there's other great brands out there that do things, and we want to share that with them too. Right. That didn't happen 10 years ago.
No, and that was something that I saw.
Yeah.
Just growing through this whole thing and being a detailer. Detailers pick sides. They pick teams. You're either this team or that team. You either only use Flex or you only use Rupes.
Oh yeah, boy.
You either only use, Car Pro or you only use G-Technic.
Yeah.
And I noticed there was a number of detailers that would almost, and this was maybe 10 years ago, they'd start, as the brands started to become more popular through social media. More and more companies, detail shops, would brand themselves with that brand. And they would almost, that was their identity. They would lose their detailing, their companies, their brand, their actual business's identity into a major corporation, not a major corporate, but a detailing company's brand.
Absolutely.
And I remember Kevin Davis used to talk on that all the time. Don't align yourself with that brand. Now, I did that, but mine was the Rag Company.
Yeah.
Like my shop, I remember I had I redid my shop. I put a big Rag Company sticker on the wall. And I did a big my logo on the wall. Those were the only 2 stickers I had on the wall. But Rag Company was a local hero. I was using their towels. And I was technically part-time working for them in the evenings and weekends. And
it paid off for you.
It paid off, but that was what I did. But I remember them seeing people pick teams, and I thought, And I went to SEMA, and I knew everybody through Facebook, through Instagram, and I thought, I have to shake their hand. Each one of my Facebook friends, each one of my Instagram friends, I have to shake their hand. I have to know them.
Mhm.
Otherwise I shouldn't be adding them. And I remember I went to SEMA I used to go all the time till about 2005. And then I stopped.
Mhm.
And then in 2017, 18, I went again. And it was 17. And Jeff and I took Jeff with me from the rag company. And we did that. And I had a list of names. And I said, we're going to say hi to all these people and introduce ourselves. And Jeff goes, wow, we only got 3 days to do it. I hope we can get everybody. We had all of it done within the first like 2 hours. And we looked at each other. We're like, well, that was easy.
Right.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment when I was like, how did we walk in and introduce ourselves and say hi to everybody? Everybody was so friendly. Why can't we all just hang out and do this more often? And we started to make it a point at every show we went to. We're like, first things first, let's go around and say hi to everybody. And we still do that to this day at SEMA. The day before the show starts, Jeff gets all of us together. He puts all of it, makes sure we're all branded in Rag Company apparel. And we go wander the show floor and we go say hi to every single person that's there that day before, just so that they can see and see that, hey, the Rag Company guys came by and said hi.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
all of us just basically going to say hi to every single person that we know in the industry and ask them questions, even if we don't carry their products, even if we don't sell their products. It's just being friendly. It's just, hey, what's going on? How are you?
You know, and it's cool that you say this because I call it the 3 pillars of business. It's called you, which means you yourself, and you're a brand within yourself.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there, it's marketing. And those 3 things, everybody thinks, I got to look at my logo and this and that. We got a guy right down the street, Charlie Hutton.
Yeah, we do.
I don't even know the name of his company, but I know who
I
Charlie
do.
Hutton is. But my point is that it's Charlie Hutton.
It's just Charlie Hutton.
And his work speaks for himself,
Mm-hmm.
Of not even knowing Chip Foose Designs. I mean, you look at and to credit of Chip Foose TV, everything else, you know what he calls me? He has no idea my name, but he remembers me every time. Chevelle guy. He relates back to me having a 67.
Yeah.
And so how cool is that? So now, hey, Chris, he's known. Levi is known. What's his nickname?
Oh, the Master of Shine.
Okay, so where's that come
Right?
from? Okay.
So the Master of Shine was literally when I started my shop.
Mm-hmm.
So when I opened my shop in 2011 here in Boise, so I had been managing other people's detail shops and managing car wash detail shops since 1996. So I'd been doing all these different things. I opened my own shop. My business partner and I said, he goes, what are you going to name it? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, you name it whatever you want. It's your shop. Like, I'm just helping you get it going. Well, his car lot was called Hawks Motors. It's one of the oldest
forever.
Yeah, it's literally the oldest dealer's license in Idaho.
Wow.
Active dealer's license. And his dad, we joked, owned most of downtown. So Simplot owned part of downtown, Hawks owned the other half of downtown. So I thought, that's a family name. That's an Idaho Boise name that has been synonymous with a lot. It's also the name of the local baseball affiliate, the Boise Hawks. And so I thought, Hawks Detail. That's what I'll call it. And he goes, well, are you going to, if you buy me out and you change the name, are you going to keep Hawks Detail? And I said, no, I'll probably name it something else. And he was like, so then name it that. And I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'll give it a name. We'll call it Hawks Detail. So it's easy for you, because if you refer customers, then it sounds good for you. Mm-hmm. It'll be fine for me because they'll just think I'm related to the Hawks family anyway. And then I'll add another name and we'll just trade off both those names. So it became Hawks Detail Masters of Shine. And that was the name of the shop. And I had the logo, and I had what I called my War Hawk. And it was a bird with a big star in its chest. And then it said Hawks Detail and Masters of Shine. And so that was it. And so it was, here we are, Hawks Detail. We are the Masters of Shine. And that was our kind of our plug, like our little motto,
little tagline.
And that's what we did. And all our shirts said that, our hats. And then when I came over here, so when I left Hawks to come do this, I took Masters of Shine, the nomenclature with me, that logo, and brought it here. Jeff said, well, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I don't know. We'll call it that. Well, everybody started just calling me the Master of Shine, and that's been my kind of moniker. It was already my Instagram handle. It was already all that stuff. I'd been using it for so long, and so people already knew it as that because I had branded myself that.
That's pretty cool.
And then we started adding it onto hats, and now we have the Master of Shine hats that are black with a camo bill. They say Master of Shine on the back. We've got an olive drab green one, and just says Master of Shine on the back. And it's just something that we created. It was an MOS line, as we say. So we have a couple MOS hats, and we've talked about doing some shirts just because everybody can be a Master of Shine.
Absolutely.
And so
I love that.
It's kind of a way to do it without giving, but yeah, MOS, I have my podcast, the Master of Shine at Home podcast, and it's become me.
It's fun.
It's me.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And I like it.
So let's go back to the early days of detailing.
Okay.
Let's go back to your very beginning. A lot of people think that there's when you find successful people in the detailing industry that they just started out that way. And I found, especially back when we got our start, is pretty humble beginnings. So let's go back to that beginning.
Okay.
Just share where you started.
So my parents were detailers. So my mom and dad, when they got married, my dad would detail cars on the weekends just to make a couple extra bucks. And he said, I did. He goes, it would have been 1980, 79, 80. And he goes, we would detail cars. He goes, I do my chiropractor's car. He goes, I pick up friends and family. And my dad had always kind of worked at a service station. And so he'd grown up as a mechanic, built a race car. Him and his buddy, they raced all over the country. They were being sponsored by Pepsi. My dad's best friend got in a wreck, massive wreck. Ended up having to learn how to walk and talk again, was in a coma for 6 months, has lost all of his short-term memory. So he resets himself every 5 minutes. He'll reset, kind of forget where he is, and start telling you the same. So
10-second Tom.
Yeah, so it's Unky Dan, as we call him, and it was my dad's best friend. And so when that happened, my dad got out of racing and married my mom, and was like, got a normal job. But one thing he liked doing was doing cars. But he didn't want to mechanic. He didn't want to be a mechanic for people. He had his white collar job. He didn't want to do that. And so he thought, what can I do that's something easy, quick, fast, something that I still get to touch a car, get to do stuff. So it was detailing. So he would work on cars, and he taught my mom how to detail cars. And the two of them would detail cars on the weekends.
Wow.
And that was just their thing. And my dad goes, we charge $30 a car.
Wow.
And he goes, and we'd wash and wax and vacuum and clean the carpets up and stuff and do the windows and give it to him. And that was kind of how I was raised. So when you start doing chores, I had to mow the lawn and take out the trash, and I had to wax the cars, wash and wax them. That was my dad's thing. He's like, you go out there, you wash them, here's the stuff. And he pulled old Pro products out of the cabinet and old Car Beauty products. And that, like, some of the wax I was putting on our family car was probably 15 years old when I was 15 years old. And, we're putting it on. So I'm not sure it was really working, but that's what I did. And that was how I was taught. And I enjoyed it. That was like the one chore I really liked doing. That, and like, I didn't mind taking out the trash. And so I mow lawns to make money. And then I just wash my parents' cars. And then my dad, when I'd go over to mow my grandma's lawn, he'd be like, hey, why don't you do something nice for your grandma and wash and wax her car? And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I guess I'll do that. And that was it. And then when I turned 16, I needed an actual job. My dad gave me a birthday card. And I've famously told this story on a number of podcasts, but my dad gave me a birthday card at 16. And it said, happy birthday, love you. You're 16. You're legally able to work. Get a job. Don't ask me for money again.
Really?
And that was it. That was what my dad said at 16. And I said, I remember looking at it, and I got like a stereo for my room. And I was like, so I don't know what this, and he's like, get a job. So the next day I had to go out and start looking for a job. And I went and got a job at the car wash down the street here, literally half a mile from the rag company here. this little like new car wash. It was a Mainstream at the time, and it was called Mainstream Touchless Car Wash, and it was a full service wash. So it had vacuums at the back. You vacuum the car, you pull it through, you pressure wash it, get out on the other end. A couple kids would hop in, they clean the windows, you'd have someone dress the tires, they dry it off. That was it. We started doing detailing express services. And so you do hand wax and what we called an interior super clean, where you just dressed all the plastics and vinyl. And I was like, I learned how to do every job in that car wash and was managing it at 18 and was just having a ball. I thought it was the funnest job I ever had. It was just down the street from my house. And I worked there till I was 20. And then I got a job at a dealership doing some detailing, but a lot of vinyl and graphic work, doing stickers and decals on cars and pinstriping. I worked in kind of a custom shop at Dennis Dillon, which was a dealership here. And then from there, went to another detail shop, to a different car wash, to another detail shop. I just kind of bounced around because some of these car washes and detail shops, the owners would change hands. And the new owners would come in and they're like, hey, we're just going to do this. We're getting rid of this system or that. And I was like, there goes my job.
Yep.
And I go find something else to do. And so, but I always stuck in detailing because it was what I was good at and what I knew. And I finished high school. I did some college, but I really liked detailing. And that was my thing. And so I had fun. And it wasn't until I started working at Boise's Best that I actually started making decent money, to where I was like, oh, I'm all right here. However, we worked hard. And that was a high production or high volume production shop. We would knock out 25 cars a day.
They were,
and we were doing almost every dealership.
They're still around now.
Still around.
They've kind of.
Yeah. Danny slowed down. He's shrunk his team down, and he's focused more on what he's good at, and doing higher end work and doing coatings. And he does a ton of boats. And he's doing stuff that he should have been doing 10 years ago, but I'm glad he's doing it now because he's finally gotten into where he's found his sweet spot. He's still like, his dream is to go even smaller, go to a 2-bay shop with him and like one other guy. That's what he wants to do, and just do coatings and corrections and all that. But he taught me speed and efficiency in detailing because we had to knock out cars fast. But I remember we were doing full corrections with rotaries and doing full interior details for $125.
Oh yeah, that was imaginable. What year was that in?
That would have been. I started working for him in 2003.
Wow.
And I worked with him until 2000. Well, no, it was almost. Gosh, no, it was 2002, and then I worked with him till 2011. So almost 10 years. So with him 9 years, and ran his shop. I mean, literally, I came to work for him, and within a month, he basically was like, "You're really the smartest guy here, so why don't you run it? You just do this for me." And so I was his main guy. And then my buddy Ryan Hawks called one day, literally just called me and said, "Remember we talked about opening a detail shop 5 years ago?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You still interested?" And I said, "Sure. What's up?" He goes, "Do you want to do it tomorrow?" And I said,
"That's pretty random."
"What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, I just rented a building, and I think it'd be perfect for a detail shop. And I signed a 5-year lease. I just rented it because it was a good deal. And I was just thinking, what could I put in there?
Wow.
What if we put a detail shop in? You want it?" And I was
There's a business plan for you.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. And he was a customer of his that had bought a car and was like, "Does anybody want to rent this property? And it's got this." And they looked at it, and he was like, "Well, yeah, I'll just rent it from you. I'll figure out what I'll put in there." And he saw it, and he's like, "Let's just do a detail shop."
That's one way to go about it.
Yeah. So he basically put up the money, and within 6 months, I had paid it all back to him. And then and I was just doing his cars, and then opened it up for retail customers and ran that as it was. And by the time when I left and sold my share, I had 7 employees. We were doing 125 cars a month, and it was a good little business. It was pulling about 45 grand a month. And it was a nice little shop.
Right. Absolutely.
Perfectly sized. Everything was good. So, but this allowed me, because of my physical detriments from all that production detailing, all the arthritis, all the pain, it was getting harder for me to actually do a car physically every day. and it took a lot out of me. And so I had to start that last year managing the business and not detailing the cars. And that was a hard transition for me to make.
Tough.
Because I'm very hands-on, and I don't ever like making my employees do something that I won't do. And 9 times out of 10, I was the guy that was like, we do some repos for the dealerships, right? Or for the local credit unions. So we go pick up these cars that were at the auction already. They'd already been repossessed. My uncle owns a repossession company, and he would repossess them. They would be at the auction. My uncle would call me and he'd go, hey, just so you know, there's 3 that are really bad. Just so you know, they're bad. People have been living in them, kind of bad. And we'd pull these cars up. My guys would see them, and they're like, they didn't know where to start.
Burn it down.
Yeah. I'd be the guy. I'd say, don't worry about it, guys. I'd throw a respirator on. I'd throw gloves on, and I would spend the hour and a half removing garbage from the vehicle before they'd even get into it.
Yep.
You know, I was like, I'll do that because of that. Or a really poorly, a damaged paint job. And my guys are like, man, I don't want to correct that. I don't want to give me that white Beetle out there. Exactly. I'll do that. And it's like, all right, fine. Do the white Beetle. I try to keep my guys happy, because if they were happy, they worked really well. Absolutely. And they never called in sick. But I would try and pull those jobs. I'd go, look, why don't I do this? I'll cut that for you. At least it's cut.
You finish it down.
And then you finish it down. And they're like, oh, I've only got to do 1 step on it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And so I would take those and do it. And it got harder and harder. I couldn't do that every day. And that was this coming over to the rag company when Jeff offered me the job was like, I felt like I was a cop on the beat. I was a beat cop on the streets, and I was able to get a desk job. Yeah. It's kind of how I saw it.
So take us there. So early days of the rag company. So take us back to where even previous, a lot of people might not know the story in the rag company and how it came into existence.
It was a little old lady that owned it. So microfiber made it to the U.S. in towel form, 1994. In 1999, the rag company was established by a little old lady named Beverly. Bev went and found some microfiber towels, and she was at a convention or a cleaning thing or something. She saw them. She thought they were the coolest thing in the world. And she just fell in love with the towel technology itself. So she thought, oh, that'd be a good little business I could run out of my garage. And she basically started ordering towels from a factory in China and a factory in South Korea. And so she would order the towels. She picked different colors. She just loved it. She created the website herself. This is a woman that was in retirement age, built her own website, built her own little business, would deal with the factories overseas and have everything shipped to her house. And she ran it out of her garage. And when she got to a point that it was just her and her husband and they were doing really well, but they were doing paper invoicing for everything.
Wow.
So then she got sick. She had to go into hospice. So it was just her husband. The business was big enough, he couldn't keep up with the orders. They toyed with, well, let's call the kids. Let's see if anybody wants to get in on this little business. None of their kids wanted it. None of their grandkids wanted it. So through a friend of a friend, Jeff and Carolyn Hennon found out about it. They both had their MBAs. They both thought, gosh, it'd be fun to maybe have our own business someday and just do the stuff that we want to do as business owners and kind of just have fun with it, make it our own. And they didn't know what that business was going to be. And so they heard about this little towel company and they thought, gosh, we know nothing about towels, but let's go see. And they went and saw it and they checked it out. And they thought, gosh, this could be something we could do. And so the money was right. They offered and got it. And the lady said, Bev said 2 things. Make a go of it. Don't change the name. And they were like, okay. And that's what they did. So they made a go of it because her worry was that they would just sell off the inventory and then close up shop. Mm-hmm. She was like, I don't want to sell it to you unless you're actually going to do this. And they said, we promise. And Dane, their son, Dane Hennon, was coming home from college. And they said, surprise, we got a business. You can come work in. Here you go. Build a new website. Let's start digitizing all these files. You can start packing them. And he was like,
Okay.
Hold on a second. But really what happened was Dane had 2 jobs, and they said, look, they weren't gonna buy it unless they could have Dane come in and actually work on it day to day. And Jeff and Carolyn's plan was to have their other jobs. The business, as Dane started building it, doing the website, Dane developed the new logo, developed the website, started giving he's the one that kind of started giving the towels names and personalities, taking really good high quality photos of it, and really trying to up the level. He's the first one that got us onto social media and started pushing some photos and doing some of our stickers. And that was all Dane. He started all that. And he got so busy, they started calling all their neighborhood friends and family. And Jeff and Carolyn had to quit their jobs. Jeff quit his job 1 year after taking over the company. And then Carolyn quit her job 6 months after Jeff quit his. And they had to come in full time. And then they had hired a couple of employees, and they were all working out of their house. They moved the whole business to a 2-car garage. And then it got so busy they were doing more retail stuff, and they were like, gosh, we can't have people just stopping by the house to pick up towels.
Right. Yeah.
And so they found a little 3,000 square foot building storefront with a little warehouse in the back, and they moved into that. And within 6 months, they knocked out the wall to the building next door and moved into that. And then all of a sudden, Jeff started buying and renting. There was a storage facility on the same property. So he went over to the storage facility and started renting 1,000 square foot storage facilities to hold towels as they were coming in. All of a sudden, he had 10 of those. And he's like, oh my gosh, technically my business is taking on 15,000 square feet of footprint space, basically. I need to find a bigger building. And so they found this building, which is right here next door to us. And that's where it got. But when they were in the Garden City store, I needed towels. I was a detailer. I was using the Costco towels. And I noticed at one point that I started to scratch a car. I would mar a paint surface when I was wiping wax off or wiping polish off or compound. And I go, that was just put in by the towel. I grab a new one. I'd rip the tag off, shake it out, go again. The heck? This is scratching it. And I didn't know what it was. And so I started doing research. And then I found out that the rag company was in Boise, Idaho. I looked at, this was before auto fiber came out, so it was Microfiber Tech. And then there was Microfiber Madness and the rag company. And I looked at all 3 websites, and I thought, gosh, I looked at all the towels. And I Google searched one morning. For some reason, I was like, what was that place called? The rag something or other. I typed it in, and Google brought up, because it was using my local area, it showed the address to the house. And I was like, Boise, Idaho, what the heck? I didn't even know they were in Idaho. And so I emailed Jeff, said, hey, can I come down and check out some towels? He said, yeah, sure, of course. Come on down. Love to have you. I spent 3 hours that day
looking at towels
and learning everything I could. And then the next day, my guy, Matt, and I, my assistant manager, have been with me for 14 years at the other businesses. He basically just followed me. He goes, what do you want to do for lunch? And I said, I don't know. Maybe we should go to the rag company again. And he's like, sounds like a great idea. Let's go. But this is the funniest story. My little brother. So I've got my little stepbrother. He's 30, so he's a lot younger than me. He's also 6'6", 6'7", and about 400 pounds. So he's my little stepbrother. So,
man, that's a big dude.
He's a big boy. So he was working for me, and he'd been working for me for over a year and a half, every day, helping me do invoicing, helping me deliver cars, helping prep vehicles, helping the guys finish cars. He's just a shop helper, but he was there every single day. So we come back from that first trip of the rag company. We pull up. He's like, where'd you guys go? Mind you, he never texted me. He never called me. Never like, what are you guys doing? I said, well, what have you been doing? He goes, well, I've been doing invoices, and I had some lunch. What's up? And I said, well, we're at the rag company. It's this towel manufacturer. They've got tons of towels. They got all kinds. Oh my gosh, it's so great. We spent and on my 2 guys, Matt and JJ, that were with me, were like, yeah, it was amazing. Oh my gosh, we had all this stuff. And then Seth goes, oh yeah, the rag company. The Hennons own that. I went to high school with Dane. He's a friend of mine. And I said,
wow.
When did they buy it? And he goes, oh, 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago. And I was like, and you've known this the whole time?
It is.
You worked here for a year and a half. You've known this the whole time? And he goes, well, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, we just shook our heads because it was like, you use towels every day. And not once.
Didn't think about mentioning
Not
that.
once you go, hey, my buddy's parents own a microfiber towel company. They sell towels like this. You should go talk to them. Not once did he say that. So, needless to say, that next day when we left, Matt goes, hey, Seth, before we leave, do you have any other friends or family members that have a connection to the detailing industry? And he's like, no, I don't think so. We're like, all right, cool.
So you started hanging out. When did it, at some point, did it click in your mind that there might be an opportunity here?
Yes. So as the business started getting more products on and more recognized, I started using stuff. And the biggest thing was Carolyn started asking if I could answer customer service questions, because Jeff and Carolyn didn't come from the detailing industry. And they were trying to do their best to help their customers answering their questions. And they didn't have a detailer on staff to answer those questions. So detailers would start buying the towels. When they bought the company, it was primarily janitorial and sanitation. So it was tons of hotels. They had a number of hotels. They had a number of businesses that were just carrying the towels. Detailing wasn't a very large percentage of the business. Over the course of about a year and a half, the business percentage changed to make detailing almost 70% of the business.
Wow.
All of a sudden, there's this massive influx. They had one employee that was a part-time detailer at home. She kind of worked on her own cars. She kind of did. So she was the only one that kind of had an idea, but she would refer to forums. She would refer back to Facebook groups and things like that. So they were like, we need somebody that we can ask these questions. So first, Jeff would just ask the question, hey, does this towel work with this product? Have you heard of this product? I got a customer that's trying to use it. They want to know. And I go, yeah, I've heard of that. It works. Or Carolyn would call and say, hey, I got a customer, want to know what's the best towel for this type of sealant wax they have. And I go, well, actually, this towel that you have would probably work the best because of the way the pile is, or the texture, whatever, the weave. And she go, oh my gosh, thanks. Okay. Then it got to a point where Carolyn goes, can I just start calling you or texting you? And I go, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm working on cars all day. Like, the phone was ringing all the time. I had a, headphone in my ear, and I'd answer calls all day long. So she would just send customer service my way. Then she goes, maybe we should do we'll create an email for you, and we'll just start loading email questions in there, and you start answering them in your off time if you can. And I was like, yeah, not a problem. It got to a point where one day I spent the entire day on the phone just fielding rag company phone calls. And I remember I called Carolyn that night and I said, we should probably do something about this, because I spent the whole day on the phone, mind you, detailing cars.
Right.
I was answering detailing questions, but I was doing it for the rag company.
Right.
And at night, I would go in and I would answer an hour or two's worth of emails a night, just questions going through, because they'd load this email up. And so I would go through that, and I said, maybe we can see about like a compensation. Nothing crazy. It's part-time. We're just kind of doing what I can. And she's like, oh, of course, let's figure that out. So that's what I did for a long time. Just kind of the capacity of answering I was like an offsite customer service representative for them. Then one day, Jeff calls me and goes, hey, I got to take a trip. I got to go meet with this company. They're interested in our towels. Can you go with me? And I said, well, if you're paying, yes. And he goes, yeah, I'm paying for it. Come with me just so I know what they're talking about. If I have a question or something, or you can at least talk back and forth.
Absolutely. Talk the lingo.
Yeah. And I said, all right, sure, cool. So we go. The moment we get to the airport that morning to leave Boise to fly out, Jeff goes, how can I find somebody like you to come, come work with me, come work for me? And I said, why don't you hire me? And 8 months later, I was able to leave my shop, transition, make sure all my ducks were in order, and then come on to the rag company, which coincided them moving into this building, because the other building, they were bursting.
Right.
This building, we finally had some room, we could breathe, but we were still small. There was only about 9 of us in this building when we first moved in, and that was everything. And now we're in 65,000 square feet, and we've got close to 50 employees. It's insane. It's insane in that amount of time, and it's just crazy. I I'm blown away at what we've been able to achieve because Jeff and Carolyn have never put any restrictions on us.
Mm-mm.
They've always said, treat everyone with respect, always take the high road, and be helpful. Number one goal of the rag company is to educate first, and then sales is secondary. But the number one goal is if a customer leaves here, at least they have the education. That's all that we care about. And those were the tenets that they taught us and said, this is just how we're going to do business.
I like it.
And that's what we've done. And it's worked.
So you've seen this trend. I mean, rag company, I mean, again, it's one of the modern day foundation companies of new companies that have come in and really, you know, Rupass isn't new. PNS isn't new. McGuire, all these different companies are out there, but they're new. But rag company, you know, microfiber towels is the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
When you look at, you know, longevity of all the long products. So what other things you've witnessed some things? What are some big takeaways that you've seen in the industry, like game changing? So microfiber come in, you know, I watch Clay show up, you know, in the day. So now we've really seen some changes.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like if you had 2 or 3 big changes that's happened, you know, in the last decade that's really made an impact, not just on the companies, but more so the small mom and pop entrepreneurs that run detailing companies?
I think it's the diversity of what you can build out for your business,
Mm-hmm.
where you can add PPF, you can add vinyl, you can add ceramic coatings, you can add, you know, all these different protection things. You can add window tint. When you and I were doing this in Boise, those were all separate businesses.
Oh, yeah.
You were just a window tinter, or Clearbra was a whole new thing.
Right.
And, you know, or a vinyl shop, a sticker shop, or a sign shop. If you were a vinyl shop, you were also a sign shop.
Yep.
You weren't.
No.
You got sticker. You put racing stripes on someone's car. That's cool. Oh, and you also made a sign for a local car wash.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
that. It wasn't. You were lucky if you got. You also had to make business cards or something. It wasn't like. It wasn't the fact when I was
flourish.
No. And when I was a kid, my dad used to get this magazine. It was like Auto Restyling or Auto Trim News back in the day. And I remember opening that up and reading it, and it would have detail products in it, and it would have pinstripe kits, and it would have tint, and it would have body kits for mini trucks, and it had all these different things. And I remember telling my dad, wouldn't it be cool if you had a shop that could do all this stuff? And my dad was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But that was all it ever became. And I was an 8-year-old kid looking at this magazine going like, man, I'd love to.
What we would think of back then, it was the concept of an auto spa was new.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and we talked off camera is that could you imagine getting into PPF, you know, 25, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, I really kind of poo-pooed it.
Yo, I did too. And that's one of the things that I kick myself. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be really good friends with Justin Pate, who's a Boise guy.
Right. Yeah.
And Justin left Boise after graduating high school, Capital, and going to Boise High or going to Boise State and playing football. And he left Boise and went to New York and literally got straight into vinyl.
Yeah.
In 99, 2000. Got into vinyl and started laying and vinyl wrapping cars. And now he travels all over the world as the lead installer for Avery Dennison and teaches people all over the world how to lay vinyl and does it super fast and efficient.
Right.
And teaches guys to do it a quick way to make money. But I look at what he did. He went one way and only hit something that I, in my wildest dreams, couldn't have even fathomed at that time period in 98 when I'm working at the car wash.
That was going to happen.
Doing wax jobs and interior super cleans, as I like to say.
No. Yeah.
I didn't think like, man, I need to go in and get in vinyl work. And when I did get a job in a vinyl shop, that thought never crossed my mind either.
And you know what? It didn't cross theirs either. They were doing something because they liked it and they fell into it a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's probably foresight, but I don't think anybody had it. Listen, even as far back as I go with detailing, I had no clue it was going to hit with coatings.
You're right. Yeah, me either.
Correction.
Me either.
You know, none of us did. We had no clue what was going to hit. You know where I thought the future was really PDR.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
You know, and which is still, you know, good trade, but the profitability that you can now make off of PPF vinyl and correction and coatings is just astronomical.
Well, and that's like, you know, my guys. So they left my shop. They opened a new shop. They moved locations. They partnered with another guy and they opened what's referred to as Lupo Auto Spa.
Mhm.
And they install Modesta, they install G-Technic, they install XBEL, PPF, and they do some detailing. That shop, 5 years out from when they started, for last year, for 2020 or 2019, they did $1 million in sales.
Yeah.
Out of a detail shop.
Absolutely.
That did PPF, coatings, and some detailing. And I said, holy cow. Because Matt came in and he goes, what was our highest year we ever did? And I said, wow, we were right under 400,000. And it was like the year before I left.
And you're busting your ass to hit it.
And he goes, and I go, we worked hard. And he's like, I did $1 million this year. And I was like,
yeah, we've got friends of ours who got a two-man shop. They're doing $1 million a year.
And they just added vinyl. They just added vinyl wrapping. So now they're doing vinyl wrapping services.
Take it.
And it's just going to continue to grow. And I'm so impressed and proud of them. It's cool to see my crew, to see them all still doing stuff and still working. I wish they were.
Hey, did you guys hear? So here's the man. You just hit on something. So many people and so many of us in detailing have been kept down. Yeah. But here's the deal. What the hell is it when people become successful that they want to do the same thing that was done to them? Listen, people that go to work for you are probably going to start a shop up.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I got to the point where as I matured, I was like, I'm planning on you starting a shop up.
Yeah.
I helped them, just not right in my backyard, And it was listen, the majority of people that work for us, we didn't want to help them because they didn't want to help themselves. But Jorge is still over in Sun Valley. I just had dinner with him last time we were here.
Juan?
He's killed. Yeah,
Juan Gonzalez?
He worked, Juan and I, what's
he was here yesterday with me.
Oh, no way.
He's been here since Wednesday. He left this morning.
I saw that. Him and I are together on 9/11. Yeah. He was at our customers in Sun Valley, the Drackets, on 9/11 when it was going down. We watched the whole thing unravel at the Drackets house, and I'll never forget that. And that was really before we got big. We were profitable, but we were small. But I mean, you look at guys like that; they're gonna leave. It's why would you want to keep people down? Build them up, man. Let them. I mean, listen. If detailing keeps marketing itself in all the accessory businesses, we got to grow by 10 times the size. We don't have enough. Yeah, good guys.
No, exactly. And it's the hard part is that it goes back to that teams. Retailers pick teams. They pick a side and they're like, I only do this and I only work this way. And you go even further back to when we were doing it, and it was, I don't want to help or teach that guy anything because if he learns my skills, that's it. He learns my secret sauce, then everybody's going to have it, and I'm not going to be worth anything anymore.
That's exactly it.
And I think what surprised me the most was I grew up in that, I learned from my dad, and then I learned from other detailers that I worked with.
Absolutely.
And I learned from Tom Smith, the owner of Buff Bright, who was the MVP distributor. That's who I learned from. And the surprise was when I first found out about you that you were training and teaching other detailers. And I was like, wow, who's this guy that's actually teaching skills to other detailers? And I remember I said that to Danny one day. I was like, because we were having a problem. My guys were swirling cars like crazy. And what it was we were all doing rotaries. Yeah. And we were using a product that was full of fillers and full of petroleum distillate. Yep. And the moment it got washed off, I was like, I think back now to this problem. And 15 years ago, I was confused. It was like, I don't know how that works. I don't know how it's getting done that way. And I think back and I go, we were putting so many fillers on these cars and we were rotoring them. Yeah. And then we park them on the lot and they'd sit on point at a dealership. And then the lot boys would come by, rinse them off with a pressure washer and wipe them down with a dry squeegee or chamois. Yeah. And then they would do that over like every 2 days. And all those fillers would come off and all those wash scratches from just dust and chamois. Mm-hmm. And then the dealership would call and go, man, this truck you guys did 2 weeks ago looks horrible. And I'd get it back and I go, God, what are we doing wrong? Like, cars look amazing when they leave us. Why are they looking like crap when they come back? And I didn't have the capacity to understand, like, oh, the product you guys are using is loaded with fillers. Absolutely. And you've created a scratch pattern and you haven't been able to get that scratch pattern back out. You just put a secondary exact same scratch pattern on it. Maybe you did in different angles. So you got some shapes, but it was, how do we fix that? And then I remember you were teaching on the Flex, the 3401. And I remember telling Danny, hey, this guy is right around the corner from us. Maybe we should see if he could do he could come over to our shop for a day and teach us how to use this machine so we could get these swirl marks out. And he was like, we're the best. That's why we're called Boise's Best. We're doing everything fine. And I was like, yeah, but we're getting cars coming back.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was one of the things with me that I was like, I didn't at the time, but we wouldn't go talk to another dealership or detail shop and go, what are you doing? Because we're having this problem. I'm going to tell them what I'm using.
Listen, tribal knowledge is huge. It depends. We found out in the mafia, of opening way up with each other it's how big your tribe is. Yeah. The tribal knowledge is only so big now. Our industry, has been a lot more acceptance of that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Chris, this is break time. So, guess who sponsored today's podcast to make this happen? Any guesses? Can you see the yeah, there we go. Hey,
no. You didn't ask me earlier what shirt I was wearing. Today. I wore my Rag Company shirt in honor of our guest.
Yeah. Good work.
Yeah.
Good work.
So, we want to thank, we go back with these guys. I remember watching you. I think when you guys got my attention was the guy that you guys brought in, and I'm going to destroy his name, and I don't want to do it. It's not out of dishonor. The
junk man.
The junk man. What's his
AJ?
AJ. There you go. That really caught my attention when you guys brought the junk man on.
Well, and at the time, the junk man was he was probably the most popular YouTube detailer.
He was.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Back then.
Right.
He had a ton of subscribers too, and he was just doing it in his garage.
What happened? Where's AJ at?
He's still doing stuff. He got married.
Did he?
Yeah, Jeff talks to him every once in a while, about every 3 or 4 months or so.
Yeah.
We've talked about bringing him out here just to come say hi and check it out.
Yeah.
He was the one. He bought
the
Eagle towels, made a post about him, made a video about him, and that's what really kickstarted all of us into social media and getting us out there.
So I will get with you guys today. I am going to make you a bet that out of any shop in the country, and you guys, I buy all my towels.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, it's I go and we want to support you guys. I am guessing outside of this warehouse right behind us, I've got the largest collection of the Rag Company towels in the country.
Probably.
I bet I do.
Yeah.
I don't have the latest and greatest always because I buy, we want fresh towels when we train. Yeah. And they go over great. And we can solve just about any problem, because who would have thought also 10 years ago that microfiber and switching them up is a problem solver?
Yes. A lot of people did, and that goes right back to the very first time when I started working and looking at, or first found towels. The reason I found it was because I was using a Kirkland signature towel on soft clear coat. Mm-hmm. And an 80-20 blend was what that towel was.
Absolutely.
All-purpose Terry, 320 GSM. That towel would scratch soft clear coat, period. Yeah. It didn't matter that it was a great towel or that it worked in other uses.
Absolutely.
On soft clear, it didn't work. And what I had to move towards was a 70-30 blended towel, or a 75 or 75-25.
Yep.
Like I needed to kick up the level of polyamide, and I didn't know that till I came to the Rag Company and learned it from Jeff. And he goes, well, this one's 70-30. I said, what's the difference? And I said, the Kirkland signatures are 80-20. And he goes, well, 70-30, that increase in polyamide allows the towel to be softer and more absorbent.
See, we thought that dead opposite back in the day.
And I was like, wait, softer?
Right.
Than this? And he's like, yeah. He goes, and then you can change your weave.
Wow, we're like,
and once you change the weave, you can make it even softer. And the biggest thing is the plush, where it's an open. It's basically not a loop anymore.
It's all open.
It's all open, which is why it doesn't catch on your fingers.
I love it.
And he goes, try this on your card. And I was like, oh, all right. I took it and found a soft paint car again. And I was like, whoa, it didn't do it. And I grab a Kirkland signature. I was like, oh my gosh, look at
the difference.
I can see the scratches. And that was the start of it, where I thought, holy cow, I didn't know that. And then Jeff goes, by the way, I make 150 different types of microfiber towels. And I was like, that was just done. Yeah. I was like, I
need like 10.
And it took me a year to learn every type of towel that we make, and every type of blend, and every type of weave, and every GSM, and how it all translates.
It's really an industry in an industry. And a lot of people don't understand that, is how involved microfiber. And you guys have really, the science behind it is huge. It's like blending products. I mean, it's blending towels.
And that's what it is. And what's crazy is there are so many other people within the realm of microfiber
Oh yeah.
that are doing tons of other stuff. So we haven't even scratched the surface with clothes.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
more
yeah.
and more clothes are microfiber.
Absolutely.
More and more of them.
Absolutely. So, hey, takeaway time. So we're going to leave you guys with 3, and this is probably my most exciting time of a podcast, is because I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I really want, this is if you're going to make mental or physical notes right now. Also, if it ain't written, it ain't happening. You know who told me that?
Who?
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that's good.
We had another company we owned over in Sun Valley, and I got to interact with
Hang
him
out with him?
twice.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know if it was hang out, but I was in his presence.
that's good.
And
That's
I
all right.
finally worked up the nerve to ask him that. And I said, hey, what would you tell, at the time, pretty young? I said, what would you tell a young entrepreneur? He goes, if it's not written, it's not happening. And I preach that all the time. I say it probably 100 times a month. But what does the modern day Levi right now today wish that he could go back and tell the younger Levi a decade ago?
One, take care of your body.
Amen.
I'm at 41. It's amazing how fast it deteriorated, and I didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably should have worked out a little more, got a little stronger, watched what I was doing, watched the way I was holding my stuff, be a little more ergonomic,
Yeah.
and not grind so hard. And second would be to be more open to some of the new stuff as soon as it comes out.
Absolutely.
So I wish I would have gotten into vinyl a lot more, because I was in it in 2001, 2000.
Yeah.
I was doing vinyl graphics. I was making stickers and cutting them and putting them on cars. We do graphics packages at the dealership. I was doing, but I didn't learn anything else about it. I was really close to doing, I could have done some more, but I wish I would have done that or taken that and gone, gosh, that plotter's only this much.
Me
and
too.
this computer system's only this much. Oh, I should probably invest in some vinyl and learn how to do that, at least on like graphics for cars or something. And then PPF. I think I waited way too long to do PPF.
You know, I was in the late 80s and early 90s. I was in the auto tinting industry and then got into flat glass. And when I sold the company, a good mentor of mine tried to talk me in. He goes, you know, I really think this clear bra, that's what they called it back then, is going to take off. And with your talents on film, why don't you get into that? Nah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, can you imagine that? So next, what's something that you see that stands out that people in the industry need to pay more attention to?
Being not so quick to judge others based on their mistakes. You know, I see it a lot. I see a lot of detailers, young detailers, starting out on all the different forums. They have a question that needs asked, and we're getting better at answering that question for that person. But there's too many people that go in, and maybe this is just our society, where they pile on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. You're so dumb. You're so stupid. You shouldn't be doing.
I
What's
hate
wrong
that.
with you? You know,
Everybody was new at one time.
The person is just asking a question.
That's it.
And, you know, for instance, there's a number of detailers that I see that use Awesome Cleaner from the dollar store to clean interiors. They don't know enough about that product. They don't know enough about car interiors. They don't know about surfaces. They don't know enough about pH levels. And they're going like, this is the best product I use. Well, you can say that it's the best product you use, but note that if you're not diluting it, if you're not using it in the proper mixtures or using it in the proper way to apply it, you're going to damage an interior. And a lot of it is us wanting to say, hey, don't use that. Like, use it. You could use it, but
Use it right.
Use it right. And if you don't, hey, remember how you were saying all the white letters are wiping off everything?
Yeah.
There's a reason. What are you diluting that at?
Right.
You know, it's coming from a different. I think so many of us are quick to go like, oh my gosh, you can't call yourself a real detailer if you're using that stuff.
Right.
It's like, hold up. That's a teaching lesson.
At least they're asking the question.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I say too is, listen, if you're going and if your products come from a big box store, what makes you special? Everybody wants to make top dollar in the detailing industry, but then they've got something that they go to a big box store. I won't even name the brands and use it. You know, the reason why we stood out in Idaho was not detailing was
detail shops. We had a couple detail shops. It wasn't anything.
It wasn't.
You were lucky when you had customers that really cared about the car enough.
But here is I was just talking to one of our students. Billy was out with us last week. He's in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you're sitting in a gold mine. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, that's how Idaho was. Your market was Idaho 25 years ago. And you've got an opportunity to build up a market that knows very little about professional detailing and own it and make it yours. And so, I love that because, new people, at least they're asking the question. But then on the flip side, they owe it to themselves that they're going to start getting paid. I'd urge people like you, be kind. First, use the search button, see what you can find out search wise. A lot of people in our society, they want to be given everything, and they don't want to do the research. So, you better do the research, and then B, for those people, everybody who's new, be patient.
Everybody who's new,
and just remember, the more that you can build people up, the more you can charge.
Yeah.
So
I had a detailer that thought clay bars remove swarf.
Wow.
And I had to stop him and go, hold up, man, let me show you what this does.
Yeah.
And he was a guy that worked for me.
Wow.
And I was like, but I had to just,
wow.
I could have yelled at him because he was working for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I didn't. I go, no, hold on. I don't know where you got that info, but you're wrong. Let me show you why.
That's cool.
But it's that. I always think back to that. That there's always somebody that they're just, even if they work for you, even if you've taught them and trained them, they're still getting knowledge from other places.
That's it. Again, and where's that tribal knowledge coming? And you got to add to this too, is that, a lot of people that you hang out with is that we have a saying in the mafia is that when people go in and you're a member, you come to a training, you're signed into our group, unless there's no theory in our group. We've pretty much been there, done that, unless it's something new. Like when coatings came into play, we're all learning together. When a new coating, we just had Legend. We're learning the habits of a brand new coating now and what we can do. I mean, we loved your podcast that you put on the other day where you figured out, you broke the code.
Well, it's part of the code. It's what you told me and what Sydney told me.
Yeah.
But then I added a third element just as a tester.
Absolutely.
Because I got to try and figure out, I have to come at it from a different prospect. I have to try to sell it to a weekend warrior.
Absolutely.
How do I sell it to a weekend warrior? Where I could sell it to a professional detailer. Like if you were selling it, you could sell it to and say, hey, here's what you got to do. They're like, okay, cool, I got it.
But now that we're getting
to sell it to somebody who doesn't have any knowledge.
We're getting it on thousands of vehicles and we're learning as we go too, just like anything new. You know? And so you got to be able to adjust to that. Now, this last question is one of, I think I love to ask this one. I can't wait to hear your answer. One piece of advice, and I don't care where it goes. So much of our lives, when I ask this, I want to frame it for you, is that, people look at your business as your business, but you don't realize that your business is your life. When you're doing something for a living or your goal is to do it for a living, you're going to take that home every day.
Yeah.
I don't care, I try to relax and so forth. My business is on my mind 7 days a week. Now, I don't necessarily work 7 days a week,
right?
But it's on my mind 7 days a week. So one piece of advice that you love to give people that you've learned, just one simple piece of advice that you think will impact their lives.
Stop trying to impress internet detailers. They don't pay your bills.
Dude, man. Gosh.
Your customers pay your bills.
That's it.
And your customers allow your employees to pay their bills, to buy cars, to buy houses, to take care of them. So if you're too worried about what another detailer is doing on the internet, you're not going to be able to handle it. You need to take care of your customers. That's always the number one thing, is help your customers. And, I said this in when we did our big thing with the Mafia, I had a customer who was a great customer of mine, her and her mom. And her mom bought one of my gift certificates at a banquet for something that I donated to. And I donated just a detail. She bought it at the auction. She came and got her car detailed. She gave me the Idaho Power account, so all the power trucks. So she got me that account. I started detailing all the Idaho Power trucks. Then she had her daughter come in and get her car done. And I can literally every month, I had 5 referrals from her and her daughter.
Wow.
Of customers. And then her daughter, who's my age, got she got stomach cancer. And ended up dying. But before she died, she bought herself a new car. Matt and I detailed it, coated it. The car was immaculate, a little white Mini Cooper, and it was immaculate. And she wanted to get it clean. She hadn't driven it. It had 10 miles on it. She hadn't even driven it. And and we detailed it. Her husband came to pick it up, and I sent him over a 0 thumb bill.
Oh,
and he broke down in tears because
that's cool.
He was like, you guys, she wanted because she likes who you are. She likes the two of you, and they push, like her and her mom pushed us all the time. And I was like, dude, I know, but I can name, 200, 300 customers that I have because of her and because of her mom. And this is nothing. I know what you're going through, and I know what she wants. So we upgraded it. We did this package instead of this package that she wanted to get. We've done this. Her car's set. I did everything I physically could to it. And it was one of those things where it was like, it cost me a ton of money that day.
Yeah.
In labor and costs and all that stuff. But I thought
that was a great investment.
She brought so much to the table for us, and she helped. And her mom still continuously, even though I'm out of the game, will still refer.
How cool
and
is
still
that?
Send people. And I'm like, I'm not taking those customers, but thank you. Like, even though she knows that I'm doing this, they're still just because they like me.
Well, I'll tell you to kind of caveat.
That's what takes care of your customers. Being good to your customers is what matters.
And with that, stop advertising and detailing forums. I mean, it's great to brag, but you know what? Go on a social media and educate versus brag.
Yeah.
And get more customers.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. So hey, Chris, did you see? Sit back so we can see your shirt. So you mentioned Mini Coopers, and his nipples got hard.
I know. I saw that. I looked at him when I did that.
Yeah. I mean, it just bam, that instant. So
I got Uni's on listening with us today, and she's already hit me up for my Mini Cooper. She wants it real bad.
Oh yeah.
Do you tell her she can't have it?
No. Yeah. Well, hey, Levi. Now, if you live under a rock, how do people follow you?
So I'm on Facebook. There's my public profile page, Levi Gates. And then Instagram's the Rag Company Levi, although I've taken a break from Instagram, but you can follow me there. And then, of course, the Rag Company podcast. You can download, listen to us every week, wherever podcasts are available. And you can even listen to my podcast, The Master of Shine at Home. If you want to learn more about me, it's mostly that podcast is just me.
That's cool.
It's just me talking about life. And there's about 6 episodes out there, and it's just me. I talk in my garage to myself.
It's cool.
So
I love it.
But that's another way you can find that anywhere podcasts are available. It's
usually when I'm in my garage.
Right on.
Usually when I'm in my garage talking to myself, it involves a lot of swearing and yelling.
Yeah.
You know what his swearing is? Oh darn.
Yeah.
Or he goes, oh boy. You know what I do is when I call him and you hear him, he'll pick up. So Chris will pick up the phone, and there's every day Chris.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, what's going on? And then there's aggravated Chris. Hello. And so now when he goes hello, I ask Christopher, what's going on?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
What's happening?
When I address him as Christopher, that's the sign that he's annoyed and he's showing it. Somebody's gotten underneath his skin. So Levi, hey, we want to thank the Rag Company for sponsoring today, and of course, P&S Products.
Thank you for being here.
Pretty excited. We got a couple of cool days. Now we got a special guest in that we kind of snuck in on.
You did. I texted Jeff, and he was very upset.
Yeah.
That he was not made aware of that.
Yeah.
So he was. I think he's here now, but I think he was racing to.
Yeah.
He's probably running around the house, putting his pants on,
right,
shoes on, trying to get here.
We've got Gordon Mccall.
Yep.
And if you guys don't know who Gordon is, go and check out the Mccall Motorworks Revival. We've all been. He joined us.
Yeah, it was good.
Gordon started out life as a detailer, and he's really turned it his whole entire life and everything he does. I mean, it could. Can you imagine the TV series on that guy?
That's pretty cool. Let's just say the guy walked in, handed me a bottle of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And then also was wearing a fine pair of Brooks running shoes.
That's exactly it.
So, I mean, right there.
Yeah.
He brought you a bottle of Pepsi, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought him a bottle of Coke.
Well, he doesn't miss a thing.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. He does his research. He's a smart guy. So Levi, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
it. Who
it.
ever thought back to that Porta Subs day?
I know, right?
Is that cool or what? Here we are.
Maybe we should go to Porter Subs for lunch today.
Oh, that sounds great. I love that place. Hey, Chris, thanks a lot. And hey, go put some heat on those nipples because we mentioned we mentioned Minnie Cooper. They got a little hard, So, all right, guys, take care. Renny Doyle podcast. Make sure to like, share, follow, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
See you guys.